All right, everyone, welcome back. This is the end of the world with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu. And today we are discussing the afterlife yet again, specifically the ancient Vedic religion of northern India, which is an area that is slightly out of my wheelhouse, I must say.
It couldn't be further out of my wheelhouse.
But I've done a lot of research for the show, as podcasts used to say about.
I may as well be on the tournament tees at Augusta.
Yeah, and this will be the final installment for now of our Afterlife miniseries. Our life events will be over. We're recording this about 10 days before it comes out. So if the world has ended, or if there's any massive,
wouldn't that just be perfect?
If there's any massive disaster that we aren't addressing, we apologize in advance. Could not be helped. We had life events intervene, but if you've been liking the Afterlife show...
Life events. You're making it sound so foreboding. I'm getting married.
Michael's getting married, and we're also taking a trip to Canada to see Oasis in concert. So.
Even arguably more important.
No, not more importantly, but it's
not the right way.
That's happening first, and then the wedding is next week.
Yeah, because I found out that Oasis is playing on September 1st at MetLife, right?
Yeah.
And I was told I could not go because it was the day after the wedding. So... luckily, with the grace with which I agreed to not go, a new set of dates popped up. Whether that is karma, eventually we'll get into that, right? Whether that is karma,
not so much this episode, but hints.
Well, certainly not this episode.
Hints of karma. Yeah,
we will be returning to the afterlife. Yeah. So we got tickets, which I also thought were like the worst seats in the house. For months and months and months. And then when I went back and looked at them, it turns out we just have floor seats.
Yeah, seats are great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little...
play Wonderwall, and we will let all the listeners know if we get so lucky.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that they might. But yeah, we'll come back to the Afterlife at some time in the future. Actually, I misspoke. This episode is going out on... when is this? September 1st. Right.
Yeah, this is going out when Oasis will be at MetLife. So
that's right. And I actually have tickets for that show, but I'm probably going to unload them because I don't think I need to see
the same set list in the same order twice.
Yeah, and just the idea of getting to MetLife somehow much more annoying to me than the idea of driving to Toronto.
I bet after you see this show, you go to MetLife. That's my prediction.
We'll see. We'll see what's happening. But if you've been enjoying the Afterlife and all of our witty banter about our lives, you could subscribe to the show on the podcatcher of your choice. And if you really like the show, you could leave a rating and or a review and or, even better, tell a friend about how much you've been enjoying the podcast.
Have you heard of this thing, The End of the World, Michael and Stu? You could say something like that.
Yeah, just slip that in. Very natural way. You can also follow us on Instagram, of course, at The End of the World, WMS, where we post weekly, sometimes twice weekly. We posted 2 times this week, breaking our...
This would be a good one, like if you are at a wedding, sort of a like late summer, early fall wedding, and you're at a table where you don't know many people who are all from different places around the country. Hey, I've been listening to this podcast. And then all of a sudden, maybe we spread our wings.
Well, I'm giving a speech at your wedding, Michael, and let me tell you...
Believe me, I'm introducing you with a throw to the pod. Don't worry.
100% of my speech will be, yeah, the marriage is great. But by the way, guys, have you heard... Michael, Maggie, great people. But did you know? Anyway, so to round out this part of the, I don't know. I don't know when we'll come back to this. Probably like I would think like after Christmas, sometime in the new year. Maybe we'll do some more Afterlife.
Or the next life event. Maybe we'll only do this when life events come up.
Maybe. We'll see. Not planning on having too many major life events ever again. So,
like if I break a leg, we'll do the next 5.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. In any case, the before we get into the ancient Vedic religion, which we both know so well, you had another hypothetical you wanted to offer us.
Yeah, I thought this might be it's a slightly different one. It could be a little tougher to answer because, well, actually it's easier to answer, but more it's less philosophical.
Okay.
So hypothetical is this. It sort of springboards off of Defending Your Life, the Albert Brooks movie that started all of this. So it turns out that the afterlife is first and foremost, you get there and you are able to watch your entire, in fact, you have to watch your entire life back in movie form.
In real time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So however long you've lived, you're just strapped in for like an endurance film.
That's right.
Like one of those art films that lasts 3 weeks, except this one lasts X years.
We're definitely going to keep it light. We're not this could go in many directions, but I'm feeling good. Going to see Oasis on Monday, married on Sunday. Good week. So, 3 scenes. What are the 3 scenes that you would want to replay?
Okay. I think it's kind of a, it's an interesting question because your memory of events probably is so different from their actuality.
This is why it would be a very interesting hypothetical because
so the first,
I'm sure you're thinking about the things you have romanticized and then you get to watch them and it might not quite live up.
Yeah, like the first thing that came to mind was a house party that I played with my first band in 9th grade in Connecticut. And this was right at the end of my time in Connecticut. My family moved away the next year. I went to boarding school, saw some of these people again, but, infrequently. It was sort of the end of an era. And I just remember this party. No one was drinking, or at least I wasn't. I was completely sober. It was like, we're still quite young. It was before sin had really fully entered the picture.
The equation,
at least for me. I'm sure some of my friends were experimenting with whatnot.
Right.
And I just remember it being so exhilarating and like everyone rocking so hard when we played All Mixed Up by 311 and Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Wow.
In addition to a bunch of originals, I was singing and, get this, also playing the saxophone.
What? I didn't know you played the saxophone.
Oh, yes. I mean, I haven't in a while.
Tape.
No. There's no tape of this. This band is undocumented as far as I know. Maybe someone has a VHS.
It's really interesting that that's your first choice because one of mine, extraordinarily similar in that I was in a band.
I remember, yes.
And the band went their separate ways, shall we say. And then we decided to do a reunion show at our friend's huge farm and had this huge stage set up. A bunch of our friends came out to watch the show. People camped out. It was like this huge downpour, huge storm.
Oh, good.
Like set up the tarp underneath of it. We played for hours. And like there's no recording. We were going to record the whole thing, but then the weather was so crazy that the guy recording was like, I can't keep the computer and stuff out here,
How long after the band broke up was this reunion?
God, I can't remember. A while, a year or 2?
Just a year or 2. So
I could be 5.
Okay.
I can't. Yeah, I think maybe not that long, maybe a year. But like my memory of it and other people's memories of it was that it was like sort of the lightning in the bottle concert, like, and somehow sounded amazing. And like again, this is why the hypothetical is interesting to me because like I have convinced myself that we had reached like a different plane that we like had never gotten close to before. But I worry about going back and being like, it's not. Although the one thing that would be funny about going back and watching is that I was like the complete add-on to the band. I was like the classic best friend who's like been on stage before, so played the bass guitar, but was relatively hopeless musician.
Sure. You were the Stu Sutcliffe figure.
And like what I remember is really barely knowing the songs at this point. And like I would love to see how shit I did while everyone else was like it felt doing fantastically.
Was your brother in the band too?
Yeah. It was 2 sets of brothers.
Oh, so was it just 4 people?
It was just a four-piece. That's what they say, Stu, in music.
Well, yes, I
You remember?
also, as I just revealed, in fact, have been in many bands. In fact, one of my old bands is doing the theme music for this podcast.
That's right. That's right. My
Um,
second one, and I don't shy away from this. I don't care how cliche it is. It is definitely the Red Sox. It's
oh
100%.
yeah,
I'd have two choices. I think I'd probably take like a moment in the Yankees comeback series.
yeah,
Probably felt more incredibly joyful, but man, the serenity and joy of sweeping them and winning that last game. Um, I mean, it really was like it sounds, whatever. It's hackneyed or whatever, but I can't remember being happier in any single moment, I don't think.
that's good. Let me think. My second one might be this is kind of cringe, but it was a concert memory. Um, I think this was 1999, so I would have been between my junior and senior years of high school. I went to see Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, who, up until
Oh.
that point in my life, were my favorite. But Led Zeppelin was everything to me. Now I'm kind of, I still like Led Zeppelin, of course, but I'm kind of over them. I
Hmm.
think one of the signs of like becoming middle aged is realizing the Rolling Stones are better than Led Zeppelin, at least for me.
Oh, I can't go there with you, but yeah.
Well, it must be difficult to be so wrong. But no, but that moment when they came on stage, I just had this,
Hmm.
I was like 17 or 18, and I had just this look of utter shock and awe at seeing these people who had, and I performed Stairway to Heaven at seemingly every school I went to. I like got into playing guitar, learned how to play the bass,
Sure.
learned how to play the keys, did all the stuff, inspired by them and by the Beatles, of course. So I don't know, that's a little corny,
I
but
think I think the last one, I think we're sleeping on full on childhood scenes
sure.
because I mean who doesn't want to remember what it feels like to be a child, right? Who doesn't want to see that? I could even just take like a scene of like playing mini hockey sticks with my friends when I'm like
Mm,
11, 12. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of thing that doesn't have like major life importance, but I think it might be nice to see like something in the realm of that type of like fun childhood moment.
yeah. For me, the third one would probably be something related to my athletic career, perhaps also. I was thinking when I was a senior, I was third in our league in the New England Prep School Athletic Division One in high jump in all
Oh
the
wow.
schools at the final championship meet. It's kind of a fluky thing. Like I made 5'10" or 6 feet like on my second try, and no one else made it except a couple people made it on the third try, and then no one made the next height except the guy that won. So like
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like I was third, but it was kind of like I was also just as good as like eight other people, but and it was kind of unlikely. I mean, I'm not the most flexible person, and I was good at jumping though, so I managed to pull that off. Either that or one of the senior year football games, because I'm
Right.
sure it would just be so funny to see it from an outside perspective, just like how tiny we look like high school
Yeah, yeah,
kids
yeah,
playing.
yeah. With your tight little pants on.
Right, when you're like from in the moment, it's like the most violent, terrifying thing you've
Yeah,
ever experienced. I don't know.
yeah.
There's probably others, but on the spot, those are the first three
I
that I.
think, but then of course, if you're doing this, last thing about the hypothetical is like you have to watch the whole thing. I
Yeah,
mean, just imagine the pain of just watching yourself online at the bank or in
yeah,
a traffic jam. My God.
or
You,
so many other embarrassing things.
embarrassing. At least it would be noteworthy. I'm talking about like the monotony, watching the amount of time that you spent, in your only time on
On
earth.
Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just like this is why it's why you got to control your screen time just in case.
Yeah, let's not wade into the screen time debate that is raging on the
Yeah.
internet in the last few days. It's really
I haven't noticed. I'm cutting down
it's
already.
sucking the life out of me. I haven't noticed it. I've just been hearing about it on every podcast I listen to. It's like I go to podcasts to get away from the screen, and then all they're talking about is the screen addiction on the podcast.
Sure.
It's a
All right, let's
perfect feedback
dive in.
scenario. All
A
right,
perfect
so
set.
Yeah, that was good. Fascinating hypothetical. And now we're getting into also quite hypothetical territory because we're talking about the Vedic religion, which is not that well understood. And part of the reason is its origins are a little bit of a mystery. We're talking about India, right? I've never been to India. You've never been to India, right? I would love to go. It's like going to Giant Stadium. It's just like one of those things that seems like like a lot of work. Go to Turkey.
Before you get into the intro,
Yeah.
let's just once again, can we place this in time?
Yeah. So that's the difficult thing. I'm going to start off by talking about the Indus Valley Civilization, which starts, as best we could tell, around 3500 BCE and then ends by 2000 to 1500 BCE. And the Indus Valley Civilization is amazing. They had cities that were 30 to 40,000 people. They had there was like a 4 or 5 million, some estimates say, number. That was the population of this ancient Bronze Age civilization. They had a kind of, people point to them being like very egalitarian because there's not a lot of difference in house sizes. It seems like everyone had the same size house. There aren't like huge palaces that dominate and then a bunch of huts. It seems more, that's, hypothetical. Maybe there were palaces and they were made of wood, or who knows, right? But they were in dialogue with the Sumerians, who we talked about with Gilgamesh, also with the Elamites, who were living in what is contemporary Iran, basically. And we know this because there's lots of evidence of trade between them. The problem with the Indus Valley Civilization is they also had writing. They had advanced, complicated writing, but it has no known cognates that exist. So we've found a lot of examples of the script.
It hasn't been decoded.
Has not been decoded. People do not know what it says.
What they were saying. Okay.
And the reason for that is the Indo-Europeans, right? The Indo-Europeans are this hypothesized people who are whose language is the basis for most European languages, English among them, many Indian languages as well, Persian. It's one of the biggest language groups in the world. And it all stems from this group that we think, again, a lot of this is very contested. I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, but we think they came from the Caucasus, somewhere around the Caspian Sea to the north. And there's some people who hypothetically think they're the first people that domesticated the horse. So you imagine it's possible. We don't know for sure, but that's one hypothesis.
Domesticated, like
they
or they just walked around the kitchen.
The horses. No, they rode them.
Oh.
Right? So they could.
You meant.
No, domesticated like it's a pet living in your house.
Yeah. I thought they were like,
You had stables.
Laying down on the couch with you and stuff.
Well, just imagine if you've been living in your culture,
Is that what it's called? Domesticated?
Domesticating animals, animal domestication.
I always thought that meant like inside the house.
Well, domos is the root of that, so you're not totally off base in thinking that. But yeah, like a cow is domesticated also.
I always just looked at they just trained the horse or broke the horse. Is that a term?
Right, but horses are domesticated. Like they're born to their genetic structure has been altered by their time being bred and living with humans. Other animals that humans use are not domesticated. So for instance, elephants, right? If you go to Thailand, you can ride on an elephant. In India, elephants are used in some ceremonies. In ancient warfare...
Or they're domesticated.
No, elephants are not domesticated because it has something to do with the way elephant gestation works. Like it takes an elephant so long to grow up that they can't be molded in the same way that like a dog or a cat or a human. I mean, cats are famously less domesticated than dogs, but they are domesticated, right? I mean, anyway. Yeah.
And they finally surrender.
So just imagine you've been living your civilization. You guys are fighting with your swords and your spears or whatever. And then a guy comes who's got a bow and arrow, who's riding on a horse.
Yes. You've seen this. You had this experience in when you played like Civilization.
Yeah, it's like game over
Or you're
though.
just there humbly trying to build your fences, and then someone comes in with a spaceship and blows you to smithereens.
I mean, it's not quite as bad as a spaceship, but yeah, I mean, essentially, it's like a
I mean,
technological leap. People
wouldn't
have
it look much different to them?
people have tried to explain how it is that this one language group became dominant across such a huge stretch of land, like
Yeah.
from Ireland to India, you know. And one hypothesis is that they also had horse domestication, so they brought that with them, you know, and spread. And with it's not that they killed everyone; it's that their prestige was such that they became the leaders, and other people started emulating them, including speaking their language. And then
Okay.
over time, those languages changed. But Indo-European,
I love the idea of like being so impressed by a horse that you start learning a different language.
it's just a hypothesis.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably wrong. Probably there's much more to it that I
Mhm.
just don't know, or that is still so debated.
Yeah.
Um, so they have an Indo-European language, and Sanskrit, which is the language of ancient India, certainly the written language, is descended from Indo-European. So it's kind of hard to say what, if any, influence the Indus Valley Civilization might have had on early Indian religion, because we have no way of tracing its cognates. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's like, so we can look at this and be like, oh, this is Indo-European. Another big thing that people hypothesize about is the Indo-European religion, which is probably closely related to the Vedic religion. Indo-European, Proto-Indo-European religion is thought to be like the root of most pagan traditions, like the Greeks, the Norse, the Germanic, the Celtic, right? And the
Hell of a legacy.
yeah, again,
Maybe.
we don't have like a text that's like this is our version of Odin or whatever, you know. But it's like it's possible that this is the root that a lot of stuff later is based on. Um, so the earliest form of writing that we do have from the Vedic religion are these so-called Vedas, right? And these are written down as early as 1700 BCE. So after the Indus Valley Civilization has collapsed and been replaced by the Indo-Europeans, but only a couple hundred years after Gilgamesh. So this is also very old material. And the Vedic period in India is said to last from about 1700 until 500 BCE, so which is around the time of the Buddha. So when the Buddha comes and Buddhism is founded, that although Buddhism is its own religion that shoots off from Hinduism, Buddhism is also causes Hinduism itself to change in a lot of ways.
Okay.
And some people have hypothesized that like the later emphasis on karma and reincarnation arises out of a response to Buddhism, though there are already seeds of it in much earlier stuff. But again, I'm not really a scholar of this area. I've just read a few articles. Um, so the Vedic texts are different from what we're looking at with Gilgamesh or pyramid texts in Egypt, right? Because Hinduism develops out of it, and Hinduism is still practiced. And like Hinduism is still a real religion that a billion plus people, you know, practice across South Asia and around the world.
And no one's worshiping Gilgamesh.
Other than me, no one, sadly. Uh, so Hinduism, as we know it today, you know, really emphasizes the idea of karma, right? That your deeds in this life lead to the accumulation of karma that will determine the state in which you're reincarnated in the next world, right? This is a very familiar idea. We're all familiar with this thanks to the Beatles, right? Who brought Hinduism to the West. No one had ever heard of it before. Psych. Actually, you know, Hinduism is very influential on Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau, people who I actually am a scholar of, and Longfellow. I'm also a scholar of. Longfellow was the first person in America to translate Sanskrit. First person that we know of. Yeah, he was a professor at Harvard. Smart guy, good poet, forgotten poet. He's been erased. He was the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. That's Longfellow. You never got that in school up in.
I don't even know him to forget him.
They didn't give you that in Canada. Weird. Gotta tell Canada it's a Paul Revere into your curriculum. I think I'll be met with respectful silence by the Canadians I offer this to. But no, Longfellow is a good writer. But this idea of reincarnation is really important. The idea of the eternal return becomes important for Nietzsche, right? Like this idea of like all things having like a cost that is then like reiterated. But what we don't find in ancient Vedas, in the Vedic religion, is a clear idea of reincarnation, which is kind of a surprise. You'd think,
Really?
yeah. So basically what they believe is like when the physical body dies, in the Vedic religion, it seems like ancestor worship and like honoring the dead was still important in the kind of manner of the early religions we talked about a couple episodes ago, or in Egypt for that matter. There's this thing where like there's two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still no. Sorry, that's Led Zeppelin. It's on my brain now. If one follows the path of the sun, one ascends to paradise and is never reborn. But this is very rare, right? And the vast majority follow the path of the moon, which leads to a period of rest between lives, and the soul is recycled into a new body in a new realm. So they don't have the idea of reincarnation. They have the idea of the soul going on a journey and then emerging in a new realm. Right? So
like a heaven?
Could be a heaven. They don't believe in like reincarnation on Earth, but reincarnation in a variety of other realms. And there's, one way of thinking about this is like there could be many heavens, many hells. And then like the gods.
Choosing, or is it being chosen for you?
It's a result of how you lived.
Oh boy.
So this is where we get the first more familiar idea of the afterlife as a kind of reward or punishment, right?
Right. Some degree of judgment sends you into one of the layers of paradise or purgatory or hell, some version of therein.
Right. Or even just like, it could be like an alternate version of this world or something, like it could be a slight change. It could be like a many worlds, a possible worlds, multiverse. Could be a Marvel Universe multiverse scenario. God, I hope not.
That would be fun.
I guess.
I mean, it's a little more fun than just sitting around in a bird costume like that one we talked about.
Sure. But you're reborn and you have 6 fingers on your hand. You're like, otherwise you're the same. Like, this isn't quite.
That picture who had the 6 finger?
Oh, I forgot.
Armando Benitez.
Oh yeah, that's right. I confused. I was thinking of Jim Abbott, the one-armed pitcher. Right.
Right. No, this guy had an extra appendage.
And then what about the guy who had the 6-finger glove because he could pitch with either hand?
Greg Harris, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Red Sox.
Yeah, not great though. Kind of a spot reliever.
No, it felt more like a gimmick to be like, look, was he way worse with one? Anyways.
We'll get on Baseball Reference later and get to the bottom of this. So a couple of the conditions that
yeah, what would determine where you get sent off to?
So were you a good person? If so, great. You're going to be born into a better realm,
Yeah. Okay.
If not, if you're a bad person, could be that you're going to be born into a worse realm, or you might even be born again into a realm of where everyone's a toad or something,
Sure, or a monster.
I don't know about monsters, but yeah, a moth, something less significant.
Look, we're not going to make you a monster. However, we regret to inform you, it's going to be a moth.
Yeah. Another thing that seems to have been a factor was, what were you thinking about at the moment of your death?
What?
Yeah.
That is brutal.
So if you're thinking,
control that, surely.
Yeah. If you're thinking about your career, you might be born again into that career. So.
Oh my God. That'd be such a nightmare. Gotta get this article in. Dead. Here I am again. Oh my God. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. If you're thinking about your family, you might be born into the same family, albeit in a different realm.
Are you thinking about the family well, or you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go see these people again?
If you're thinking about money, you might become a merchant or a banker. If you're thinking about arms dealing, you might become an arms dealer. What were you doing at the moment of your death? So, for instance, if you're a warrior and you die in battle, there's special rights that would apply.
Mm-hmm.
That would have an
porn star, that type of thing.
Presumably.
one can surely presume.
Yeah, and if you died on like a special day on the calendar, that could have an influence. If it's like a holy day or something like that.
Yeah, but suicide is not allowed, or is it?
I don't. It's not encouraged. I don't have any notes on that here.
I'm just mean like you better kill yourself on Holy Day because then you're
Oh
cussing.
no, I think that's a cheat. I think you know do not collect $200, etc.
Okay.
Then other factors were the proper funeral rites observed.
Always hate that. Always hate when they have these. It's not on you. How can that be on you?
Well,
It's
I think it reflects on you if people cared about you.
people who surround yourself don't even bother to bury you correctly. I guess that's true.
Right. Otherwise, the soul might have to wait longer before being reincarnated in the next realm, or you might face difficulties in the realm between lives.
Right. Maybe you're not recognizable.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, there's also the possibility that the gods can interfere in any way they choose.
I like that. Just right at the end. So there's all these things you can do, but we can also do whatever we want.
I mean, that's very ancient gods, right? I mean,
Yeah. Good job. Good effort. You're going to go this way.
yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things about pagan and ancient religions, pre-Christian, pre-Islam religions, essentially, is how awful the gods are. The gods are like, oh, that woman's like prettier than me. Oh, I shall smite her.
Yeah, the ones that came after it just feels like people just wanted to write a better story to comfort themselves in some ways.
I think so. Whereas the earlier
No, he's actually all loving.
Yeah, and all knowing.
There's just the one. He's all everywhere, all the time, and all loving.
Yeah,
don't worry.
And if you don't understand it, it's because you are not all knowing, and he is. Good luck.
So don't sweat it. Just don't sweat it.
Good luck with that.
Make sure you say sorry before you bite it.
But also, I think in a way and certainly Nietzsche thought about this a lot. Like the pagan religion is in a way more realistic, right? Because the gods are capricious and uncaring and cruel and sometimes benevolent, much in the way that fate is often capricious and uncaring and sometimes benevolent, right? I mean, that there's an element of randomness that is kind of elided when everything is like a part of a destined plan by an always benevolent, all-knowing, infinitely merciful God, what have you.
Right.
And also, if you're like really a fan of a god, they might step in to help you, right? And
or like, maybe, can you go to like their little lair?
Maybe.
Or lair, even?
I don't think so. I think you have to be really special to get into the realm of the gods. I think that's limited to very few enlightened individuals. But they could also make sure if you're like a big fan of theirs, they reincarnate you as a big fan in the next realm, right?
Oh, right. So they keep up their fan base. They expand their.
Yeah, exactly. You're dead.
I like the idea of like petty kings or petty gods, like taking care of people who are fans of them.
Yeah.
There's something appealing about that.
Yeah. So the gods live in a realm of the sun, and the ultimate goal is to like get to be with the gods through all the realms, like travel through all the realms and eventually achieve some measure of perfection and or enlightenment. And we also, though, have a problem, which is, as an Egyptian, there are also demons and other forces that want to prevent that, right? And also apparently, like, the degree to which you're honored by your, like, descendants affects how easy it is for the demons to...
Yeah, I scoffed at that with the funeral rites thing, but it actually makes a bit of sense to me, right? Like,
yeah.
That's a tell of what you left behind and how you're thought of. And if they aren't everywhere all the time and they can't know everything you did and how well or how badly you acted, seeing the way that your descendants honor you is a pretty good test of what you deserve now, right?
Yeah. I have a quote here, which is just from a random website, but it says the Puranas, which is a text of early Vedic scripture, and later Vedic literature speak of the existence of not one hell or heaven, but of many sun-filled worlds and many dark and demonic worlds. Apart from each of these, the Trinity of Gods has his own world, which is attained by their followers after death. It's talking about Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma. So that's like a little bit later. That's like getting towards modern Hinduism.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Puranas which the Purana means old, and Puranas are like these encyclopedic texts that deal with cosmology, genealogy of gods, goddesses, kings, heroes, sages, demigods, folktales, pilgrimages, temples, medicine, astronomy, grammar, mineralogy, humor, love stories, as well as theology and philosophy.
Like,
So,
Lord of the Rings.
yeah. So not a big scope at all in these texts, right? These are like the texts that are the repository of cultural wisdom,
Okay.
both about this world and the next, right?
Mhm.
They suggest, some of the later ones suggest the idea of reincarnation that is more familiar, but in the
Really?
earliest forms, yeah, there's debate about this. Like, scholars used to hold that modern Hinduism had nothing to do with Vedic religion, and that reincarnation doesn't emerge until, as an idea, until Buddhism emerges, right? But now wiser heads have prevailed and hints have been discovered, suggestions that maybe 1000 BC as opposed to 1700 BC, people start thinking about this, like, what if we're
What if we can never get out of here?
well, you can get out. You can, even through reincarnation.
Choose?
What's that?
Can you choose to not be reincarnated?
No, but you can achieve nirvana, right? I mean, you can achieve, I guess nirvana is Buddhism, but you can achieve a state of enlightenment that allows you to cease the cycle of reincarnation.
That's the goal, right?
It's the dream. but it's hard, right? It's not
Sounds impossible.
yeah. I feel like there's this idea of being reincarnated. I think you've hit on something by emphasizing the treatment you receive by your relatives you leave behind, because that's kind of like, that's how you live on, right?
Mhm.
And so all this other stuff about you going to a good realm or a bad realm is kind of just a metaphor for how respected you are after death. Could be understood that way.
I mean, it's also an interesting early argument for like the importance of family, right?
Fast and the Furious doctrine. Yes, that's right.
Right?
I think, yeah. Family.
Because if that's what they believe, it's like it would like necessitate good familial relations because you might treat your family better than you might otherwise if you didn't believe such things. So that your family treats you well, such that when one of you dies, the other one is
Right, it's a feedback.
putting on quite the show.
A feedback cycle where,
That's
like,
right.
one behavior leads to similar behavior in kind and response,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So one thing I found interesting about this is that the Vedic religion seems to be much less materialist than the Egyptian religion, right? Where the Egyptians are so obsessed with the body and like keeping the body mummified and preserved. There are a variety of burial practices in Vedic tradition, especially going back to the Indus Valley Civilization. Some people were buried. Sometimes they burned. In modern India, burning, cremation is the normal way of disposing of the earthly remains, shall we say, right? And that's because the body is thought to have no importance for the cycle of reincarnation, and that the spirit is all that matters, right? And
But when you go in there, it's your soul, but you still have your consciousness, like from your mind. Is that right?
yeah, but I think you're washed of memory before you're reincarnated.
You're not like, oh, here I am, Michael.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think
Oh, this sounds nice so far.
you're into this. You're ready.
Oh, you're still there, but you get a kind of clean. It's like
A clean slate, blank slate, right?
when you go to have a nice soak at the bathhouse.
Well, if this is true, like, then we have already been reincarnated into our present forms, right? And
which may explain the nightmare we're in. I mean, whoever totally fucked us last time around.
we were born into this realm because we
Like, this is what I get. I get this timeline. Christ.
So they primarily practice cremation because the physical body has no value in the next life, right? And they don't bury you with a lot of riches and stuff because wealth is seen as being of only a value in this life as well, right?
Can't take it with you type vibe?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting. Like, India, at least in ancient Greek, the ancient Greeks India was thought of as being like the most philosophical place, as being the home of like these ancient abstract thinking holy men
Okay.
right? And so there are all these stories about, when Alexander the Great went to India, like, did he meet the holy men, and like, what did the holy men teach him, and things like, like, uh, and I think part of that is explained here, where like asceticism is important in a way that it's not for the Egyptians, right? The Egyptians care about the accumulation of wealth and the permanent accumulation. Like ideally, you're still buried with your gold and your beautiful inlaid jewelry and pottery and whatever.
Mhm.
Uh, in the Vedic tradition, they just don't care about that as much, which is bad news for archaeologists in some ways, right? Because it's not
Yeah,
like,
it's just simply less to find,
yeah,
right?
although there's plenty to find. I mean,
Mm.
there are thousands and thousands of
But it
sites.
feels this feels like a pretty big leap from the sort of level of the afterlives that we've been talking about, right?
Yeah, and I mean, part of that,
Obviously, there's a lot going on in the Egyptian conception, but like this seems pretty layered and closer to something that is recognizable, you know?
I agree. And I mean, partly that is the Indo-Europeanness of it.
Mhm.
Like that our religious traditions, although, Judaism is from the Semitic tradition, right? Like, but as we talked about a little bit last time, right? Like Jewish religion and Christianity are both highly influenced by the Greeks, right?
Mhm.
And by the Babylonians and Persians, right? So the Greeks and the Persians are both Indo-European traditions. And we'll talk in a future episode about Zoroastrianism, which is kind of the twin of the Vedic religion. They have a lot of similarities, but it moves in a more monotheistic direction. Uh, I think Zoroastrianism was the last episode that I wrote for the last pod. I don't know if we ever actually recorded it. I think
I
so.
don't think I
No,
don't think
I think we did. It's somewhere. I'll find
um,
it. It's in
I guess
somewhere. It's somewhere in the pod archives. Um, so the mind goes with the soul, and the soul is what grants continuity, and memory doesn't persist necessarily across the change of state. It depends on what era. Like some people believe you do retain your memories. Our experience, if we are reincarnated, would seem to indicate we don't. I mean, I don't have memories of being a frog in a past life or anything
Mm.
like that. Um,
If you get in afterlife, would you rather get like a memory wipe, or would you rather keep your memories if you had to choose?
I mean, obviously, it'd be a huge advantage to keep your memories.
I don't
I mean,
necessarily
if
agree.
you're reincarnated a realm like the one you already are in,
Oh, okay. You're saying I wasn't really worried about whether you then reincarnated.
oh,
I'm
you're talking about if you go to a new realm,
just like experiencing this new realm.
then maybe being a blank slate would be better, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Um, it seems like for some versions of this, and again, a lot of this is hypothetical, like scholars debate about who believed what when, right?
Mhm.
But it seems like, you know, the amount of your mind you kept might also depend on whether you went up or down in terms of if you went to a better realm, you might keep more of your mind. If you went to a
Oh,
worse,
interesting.
right? That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that. I mean, it's kind of a reward if you lived poorly or did bad things to like shut that part of your mind and memory off, right?
I have one last quote here. So, yeah, in the ultimate sense, the purpose of life, of the afterlife, is neither to punish nor reward the souls. Okay.
Mhm.
But to remind them of the true purpose of their existence. In the final analysis, the difference between heaven and hell is immaterial because both are part of the great illusion that characterizes the whole creation. Difference is very much like the difference between a good dream and a bad dream. It should not matter to soul whether it has gone to heaven or to some hell, because the soul is eternally pure and not subject to pain and suffering. You can see how Buddhism arose out of this tradition, also, right?
Yeah,
Like,
the idea that the differences are immaterial, though. I mean, in the words of
it's
Oasis, right? Some might say they don't believe in heaven and going to.
in the words of John Lennon, imagine there's no heaven. Right?
Yeah.
So there's also some other complexities that they get into where like it's possible for your soul to inhabit multiple afterlives simultaneously.
Talking.
Yeah.
That's like that's a superpower right there. That's not just Mikey Boy hanging out, you know?
Well, it could also be like a kind of clone nightmare, though, right? It's like Michael 1 and Michael 2 and Michael 3 are each in their own journey. And does what Michael 3 does affect what Michael 1 does? Maybe.
Right. Like a severed afterlife almost.
Exactly. Severance and or like quantum entanglement, right?
Bingo. Yeah. Okay. I can see that both sides to this.
Yeah.
But again, this one feels, very, very not appealing, but there's just very intriguing.
Yeah.
A different way. I mean, I guess part of the strength is so much of this is debated, right? So there's all these different theories about what they actually thought, right?
Yeah. And like the texts that we have are copies of copies of copies. And like some of these texts are still an important part of living Hinduism and are interpreted through thousands of years of history that have, of the religion changing and developing as, so that's why there's like, and a lot of this is like people trying to hypothesize about this proto-Indo-European religion as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think this is a good place to stop for the Afterlife series for now, because we're kind of getting towards modernity.
Yeah.
I think when we come back, we'll do stuff like the ancient Greeks, who are very much in my wheelhouse. I'll have a lot to say about that. Probably as a corollary to that, the Romans, who famously borrow much of their vision of the afterlife. And with that, we can also just look at some epic poetry, which is, as you may have noticed, something I'm fond of doing.
Yes, well, I'm looking forward to the next section. This has been a fun little trip.
So the next time we're back, it'll be probably a movie. Probably a movie about
ladies. I'll be off the market.
Yeah. It'll be a movie about the end of the world, as is our want. We'll be getting back to the old theme song. Bring back the techno theme, which I also composed. And
what are we doing next? What have we chosen?
We haven't chosen, but it'll be a surprise.
That may be simple, and I think it'll probably be a movie.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Maybe a big one. Maybe something like Terminator 2. Maybe it's time.
Maybe Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Jurassic Park. I kind of hate Jurassic Park, though, don't you?
Yeah, we hate to watch movies we don't like on the podcast.
We've never done that. So we'll be back with new content.
We'll battle it out on our drive up to see Oasis.
Yeah,
we'll let everybody know what we're gonna do.
So that'll be next week. It'll be. I'm sure it'll be wonderful.
It'll be next week, right?
Yeah, and if you like the show, as I said before, you can follow us on the podcatcher of your choice and all that. Leave rating, review, yada yada, and whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be great. As I just said. Until next time, this has been The End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and we'll talk to you real soon.